Ladies and gentlemen, back for the hat trick time with us. His third time on the show. This man is truly one of my favorite guests to have on the show. Humble guy, Buffalo Sabres draft pick, absolute beauty, former London Knight, lots of time in the OHL. His podcast, the Sheriff Podcast, has exploded lately. Let's welcome to the show, good friend of Hat Trick Hockey, our boy, Sheriff Sean McMorrow. Sean, what's up, brother?
Woo! Not too much, boys. I'm just happy to be on your guys' show. Like, I'm honestly like I've been wanting to come back for a long time. So I don't know if there's some animosity between us or not, gentlemen. But I'm happy to be back now. I'm just joking, boys. I'm all fired up. I'm ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Dude, so you've been crazy busy lately, man.
Yeah, man. To be honest, guys, like I love what I do, but like I'm so eager to get a job. Like, and I mean like a regular career job. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm looking to be a sports broadcaster, hopefully for one of the major networks, but I'll grind it out and do a minor network first if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just about to kind of apply to be doing that. So not only am I doing my show, but I'm also really trying to network as much as I can. I'm trying to be on my favorite shows. That's why I'm on this show right now,
Love
right?
it.
Just before I try to get in that door. So yeah, man, I've been busy, and the Carnegie Initiative was this past weekend in Toronto, and I was a big part of that. So it's been great. It's been great the last few weeks, gentlemen.
I love it, man.
Also, would love to wish Mr. McMorrow a happy belated birthday. Anyone listening? He had his
Thank you very
birthday
much.
this past week, and what do we say? 40 years young, right? 41
Yeah,
years
no,
young.
that's right, man. And you know what? I appreciate that. I am a Capricorn baby, you know, right on the cusp of Aquarius on the January the 19th there. And yeah, I'm 41 now, gentlemen, but you know, I still have a kid's mind, and I think I have a lot more to go.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
Right on.
I've been following you. Like, I follow all your stuff, right? So, like, just like I'm seeing you everywhere. Like, you've completely exploded. Like Chiclets, man. I was waiting for you forever to be on Spittin Chiclets. Like, I've messaged them before too, and I'm like, you got to get Sean McMorrow, you got to get John Nasty Morasti, you got to get, like, you know what I mean? And they never. And then when you popped up, or they posted a thing on their page, and it said tomorrow, I think, and it had your photo, I was like, yes, like it finally happened, man. And I listened to it at work. What an interview. So how did all of that freaking come about and stuff like that? Because you've exploded, dude.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that, dude, especially coming from you from your show. Okay, so yeah, no, this is a great question, and I'm very happy to answer it because it was a great experience for me. So me and Biz are only 3 years apart. Like I'm a 1982 birth date. Biz Nasty, I believe, is in 85. I believe could be an 86 maybe. So we're 4 years apart. I was just getting out of the OHL as he was coming in. So the advantage for me with Biz Nasty is that I was right at the end of my OHL career. I was being touted as, you know, one of the tougher guys in the league. Now here is little Bissonnette as a rookie, you know, and fair enough, he was a rookie, so he's not expected to be in the top echelon. He was scared, pretty much shitless of me, right? And like guys on his team would tell him, man, just don't say anything to this guy. And he actually said that on the show. He told that story. So I think I had like a little bit of a respect from him off the get-go. And then we've always been on good terms. And then I had Michael Fuda on my show, who coached Bissonnette in the OHL. And Fuda's like, Mac, we got to get you on Chiclets, man, just like how you were, right? We got to get you on there, Mac. I can't wait to see you on there. I'm like, well, let's get me on there. And he's like, well, I'm gonna give Bissonnette a call. I'm gonna give him your number, and he knows you, so I think he'll be up for it. So that's exactly what happened. Mike Fuda gave Paul Bissonnette my number, and he called me and said, hey, we'd like to have you on the show. And I was ecstatic because I'm a huge Chiclets fan, man. I'm a big fan of the game, like not just a former player, you know that. I'm just like you guys. I'm a huge fan too, right? So it was such an honor. And to be honest with you, I had such an advantage because Mr. Cabral Richards, aka Cabby on the Streets, he was my guest in studio the same night at 7 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I had the Chiclets interview. So I was able to stay in my own studio. I was so fired up from the Cabby show. And then it just kind of just flowed right into the Chiclets interview. Like I was already pumped up, didn't have to warm up, didn't really have too much butterflies because I just finished my own show. So it was just like perfect timing, gentlemen. And I was in such a good mood. And I think they gave me a couple more coffees, and I was just able to keep it going. And yeah, I just the only thing that I'd say is because it was such a big interview, right? It's such on another level. Is the next time I do something like that at that level, I'm gonna have to write down some names to mention, because man, did I ever forget to mention some names, right? I did my best, but next time I'm gonna write down a list so I can remember it, because it's such a great opportunity once you're on that big of a stage.
And then you mentioned these guys right here.
Yeah, no, you know what? Exactly, man. No, but exactly. And you know what? It would have been a great little story to tell them that when I was on your show that we were talking about you guys helping me get on there, right? Like, and then to them, it's kind of cool because we're kind of, we're pumping their tires or whatever, right? They like to hear that kind of stuff. But it's a true story. And yeah, I would have loved to have remembered that, dude. But I was just so nervous and pumped up. There was just no way. So yeah, next time I'm gonna write down some notes. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. Got to do it at Bottom Line where I do all my shows, and I think just the comfort of the setting. I think it was one of my better interviews. I would say that I was able to pull off. So yeah, it was great, man.
It was fantastic.
That's awesome. So obviously, you're a very well-spoken person, and you've got plenty of experience with you. What drove you alongside that to get into podcasting? Tell us about that, your journey into growing the show where it is.
Right on. So great question, buddy. So I like when I was playing, I kind of figured out at an early age that it was just a really smart idea to do off ice promotions and appearances, right? And like obviously that's how I was able to get those AHL Man of the Year awards, because I was doing that. But aside from all that, what I learned, like what Sean learned by doing all those things, is what I kind of figured out what my passions were and what my real interests were, which is, for example, being in front of the camera, talking in front of big crowds, being the medium kind of in general, right? That's what I figured out what I really like. Because, like growing up, especially in Canada, like, you're playing hockey and, it's hockey, 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 hockey. And then, you might be asked once in a while, well, if hockey doesn't work out, what else are you interested in? Right. And a lot of the kids will be like, I don't know, maybe coaching hockey, or you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
But for me, I realized in pro, not even in growing up, but in pro, I realized that it's really the media that I want to get into, because I like being the medium. And there's a lot of different reasons why. So with the podcast, man, what happened was I was a guest, just like right now, on a show called Enforcer's Corner, which was hosted by a gentleman named Kyle Warner, and he's out of like the New Jersey, Philly area. Now, big fan of AHL tough guys, and I guess when I played against the Phantoms back in the day, him and his dad saw a couple games, and I think I tossed him a puck or something, and you know what I mean. And so when he asked me to be on his show, I was honored, and we had a great show. But I was telling him, I kind of have an interest in maybe starting my own podcast. And, that came up during the show, and then there was small talk, and then we moved on to a next subject. So he releases our episode. Couple days later, calls me up and says, hey man, all that stuff you were talking about starting your own show, he's like, why don't we do that together? He's like, I already have my show, so I already know how to upload the Spotify. I can edit. I can be the tech guy, you could be the player, and we can make it work. And I was like, yeah, man, that's awesome. He's like, I'm like, well, what are we going to call it? He's like, we're going to call it the Sheriff Podcast. So it was even Kyle's idea, like the name and everything. He's like, well, you call yourself the Sheriff, let's call it the Sheriff Podcast. And so it was great. And me and Kyle are good buddies, but he has a young son, and the commitment was just too much for him. and it was just best that we kind of parted ways, but we're still good buddies. And he taught me how to do everything, how to do the intros. Like I think the first 50 or 60 episodes are me and Kyle. And then I've done about 160 now. And after 60, so the last like 100 episodes have just been me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Last 30, I think 20, 30 have been in the studio.
Mhm.
So
Dude,
yeah, man, it's been quite the journey.
I'm shocked you haven't done any work on like on with the like London Knights and stuff. Like I'm surprised you
Oh,
haven't done any work with them.
yeah, you could say that 6 times over, my friend. I was a little bit of a soup case in junior.
That's okay though.
Like, for
I know that.
example,
I know you played for like 5 or 6
no,
teams
no,
or
I
whatever.
know. The short stints with a bunch of them, right? But for example, no, that's a great question. And to be honest with you, I actually have thought outside the box like that already with the Kitchener Rangers.
Mhm.
And my brother-in-law is actually the one that set it up. Last season, me and my brother-in-law went to a Kitchener Rangers game. I'm alumni there because I played the second half of my first year in the OHL there before I got traded to Mississauga. But it was a really good experience. I got along with everybody there, and for some reason, like Kitchener's just been like really important, even though I was there for such a short stint. And anyway, so we went to the game, and I was like an honorary member. They like gave us tickets, but then I also during the intermissions, I was on like the TV team, and
Mhm.
like they interviewed me. I talked for a little bit, and it was Rogers TV, Kitchener Rangers, OHL Rogers. I'm not really sure like what the exact outlet was, but it was a really cool experience because I'm interested in not like doing stuff like that. Like not everyone just jumps right to Sports Center Ken Reed's desk, right? So
Right.
you may have to do other stuff along the way, and that's something that working for Toronto Marlies TV, Oshawa Generals TV, Kitchener Rangers TV, London Knights, man, I'd love to go to London, spend a night there, chat with their TV guys and do all that. And I'd actually love to work for London one day because they're such a thriving business too. And I'm sure that's what you were referring to, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like just like in general, working with the
Yeah.
London
Yeah,
Knights.
man, you should.
Yeah, bro.
Hey,
Yeah.
I was saying to actually Tristan, Mike's one of their old school jerseys, and I was like, and I was saying, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that they wore those jerseys when Sean played there. Which one
The
was it?
Spider-Man ones.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Spider Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, that's what they wore when I was there. I was there the final years of the Ice House. So it was before the Labatt Center. To be honest with you, I've never seen the Labatt Center. I don't even think it's called the Labatt Center anymore. They called it that when they first opened the arena. The arena in London. I've
Yeah.
never been to the new arena because
I
I
wanna
just
say
I
it's
played in the Ice House and then I've been through London, but I've never been to a game
Isn't it
and I've just
Budweiser
never had
now
a
or
reason to
something?
go.
Budweiser Gardens, I think. No. Yeah.
It's called what? TD?
Budweiser Gardens.
Budweiser
Yeah.
Gardens, right on. Yeah, it was called the Labatt Center right off the hop. I guess that was obviously the big money people in the beginning,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But yeah, man, they that's quite the business they have there, man. With the fans they get there, and they get crowds that are bigger than AHL East Coast teams, and everybody knows what the salaries are of the OHL players. Like most players make $50 a week, and obviously they're billeted with land parents, but it's quite the business if you're an owner of a team like that because the AHL guys are making 100 grand. I know the NHL helps with the salary, but I mean, there's got to be quite the profit there when you're paying players $50 a week and getting 10 grand on a Friday night, right? In the
Big time.
stands. That's
For sure,
great,
man.
man.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
I love the Hunters too, man. So I'm happy that they did so well.
Mhm.
yeah,
I'm a Hunter guy through and through, man.
yeah,
Mhm.
they're tough nuts themselves, eh? But
Mhm.
yeah, while we're talking about junior, I'm just curious, what's your favorite memory? Like playing any one of your years in the OHL there between 99 to 02? Talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I junior was such a cool time for me. Like just it was only like it seems like it was like 10 years because of all the teams and stuff. But it was only 3 years and there was so much that happened and it was so different from the beginning to the end. You know what I'm saying? Like I came into the league as a stay-at-home big defenseman,
Mm,
pretty high draft pick, like you know what I'm saying? And then and then I ended up figuring out that I had to be a winger if I wanted to play in the NHL, right? So then it became like, because like my last year I hadn't scored yet, right? So
Yeah.
it was such a big deal that I hadn't scored yet. But the reality is that for almost all that time I was playing defense, so it didn't really matter. Like I was a stay-at-home big D man, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I finally scored, and then I got a hat trick against the Peterborough Petes, and
What?
you know what I mean? Things really started changing for me, man. Like I was one of those guys that was just getting the tap from Mark or Dale Hunter to go out there and scrap, to a guy that's playing on the power play. You know, I was only on the third line, but I was getting a regular shift playing on the power play. You know, for Oshawa, my final year, we played Jason Spezza and the Belleville Bulls in the first round of the playoffs, right? We won the first game. Who scored the G-dub?
Oh.
Sheriff Sean McMorrow. Buddy, I couldn't believe it. I had and again, these numbers are very modest. They're not a big deal, but to a guy, it took him 2.5 years to score.
Yeah.
I had 7 goals in the last 20 games of the season, right? So like, you know, one of those games I had 3, but I mean, for me, it's like to have a goal every few games is pretty cool, right?
That's awesome.
So that was happening. And then we play Spezza and Belleville, and I score the winner. And it was in overtime, I think. So like I had so much confidence at that time. And then of course, a couple months later, I ended up signing my entry level with Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was such a great time for me, especially that third year with Oshawa when I started getting points. You know, then I signed my entry level, you know, finally have money in my account. I remember buying a vehicle, going to my first training camp. Like it's different. When you go to a training camp before you sign, it's completely different than going to a training camp when you have money in your account and you're actually expected to play at least for the AHL team.
Mm-hmm.
It gets completely different. So that whole time period, like 20 to 21, my last year OHL and my first year pro, it was such a cool time. Like, remember, I got called up my first year too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within a year of me like getting the hat trick, I got called up, played against the Toronto Maple Leafs as a diehard Leaf fan growing up as a kid. Really, really cool times, dude. I'm really glad you asked that question, man.
Oh yeah, I bet. That's awesome.
What kind of freaking car did you buy?
Okay, so now you got to remember, I'm an 8th round pick. Okay, only a $75,000 signing
I know.
bonus,
I'm
right?
just asking.
So I kept it modest, but I'm a big Jeep guy though. I'm a big Jeep guy. So I got a Jeep Grand Cherokee limited.
I like your style.
Limited
Right
edition.
on. Yeah,
Black,
same here.
Black. I think it was black leather as well. What year was it? Like I think it was like this was in 02, and I think it was like in 01 or something. So like it was, you know what I mean? It was or whichever way that makes sense. It was only a year old.
I was gonna say I was waiting. I was like, it better not be a fucking foreign make. If it is, that's it. Show's over. No. Fucking, we're done.
Jeep Chrysler, yeah.
Because I actually work for Chrysler. It used to be. Now I'm down here and I build minivans. That's what I do down here. I work in the plant in Windsor.
That's cool, dude.
It's a great time.
Yeah, well, other than Oshawa, isn't Windsor the biggest like GM hub? Obviously, because
it's just kind of
you guys are right by Detroit, right?
Yeah, so, it's like a automotive hub, because we have the
whole area,
we got Jeep plant, I believe, over in the States and stuff like that, like just across the border. So we're a automotive hub, I should say.
Years ago, GM was really big. They would have been our biggest probably 40 years ago. They've since faded out.
But are you in Windsor too, Tristan?
Yeah, I live just outside of Windsor in a small town called Essex. So
on, bro.
Him and I live about 3 blocks from each other.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Windsor's a tough town, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Hey, how did all that, when you hosted the hockey fight thing and all that, how did all that come about?
Ice Wars. So when AJ Galante had when the Danbury Trashers had that Netflix documentary come out, I was so lucky because I don't know how, it was just great timing. When we got in contact with AJ, which was right after the Canadian release, we were able to connect with him. He just must have been able, he must have had like a window of time. We called at that time, got through, asked him if he'd come on the show, and he must have known that he was going to try to build it up and go on a bunch of shows. So he just said yes. And then boom, we recorded the next day. And I think we were the first ones, like before Chiclets and all of them, that actually got AJ. So we established the relationship from that point. And then AJ with others is the one that created Ice Wars.
Oh, okay.
Right. So AJ contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in possibly being the host. Right. And then so of course I said yes. And not only had I not ever like done anything like that before, but I was the host, I was the ring announcer, and I was the MC, all for the first time for each role. And pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're gonna throw pay-per-view in on there as well. So you win it all. You get to do them all for the first time. So I mean, it was incredible, man. It was so nerve-wracking. I've never talked this slow in my life in the beginning, like when I first started, because I just couldn't get River Cree Resort and Casino wrong. Because I remember I was doing videos on my phone before the event, and I was saying like River Crest, like weird things like that. And I'm like, dude, when I'm live, if I screw up,
Yeah, screw it on straight here, Sean.
So I was like super slow, but I nailed every word. And then every minute of the event, I got more comfortable and got better. You know what I mean? So by the end, I was super comfortable and I was like, doing stuff and actually having fun with it. But man, I was sweating big time, man, in that intro.
I was gonna say
That's awesome.
We had AJ on here a while back too, man. The
Yeah.
story's crazy. It's a crazy
Yeah, you
story.
guys got him right away too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like pretty close to like the beginning of it all, right? It was you.
That's
Yeah.
how I roll, buddy.
Yeah, bro. No, I remember that, man. I remember seeing you guys like, I think, yeah, you think it's like the same week or whatever.
Yeah, it was close.
Very impressive. How did you like him?
He was an awesome guy.
Yeah.
I loved having him.
Yeah.
Beauty. The story's
So
Yeah,
nuts.
it's unreal.
With your like broadcasting skills that you've developed and ever like since getting into this line of work, do you feel that you have what it takes right now to move into like mainstream broadcasting? I know you said sometimes you have to start down lower in the ranks, but do you feel you can make that jump right to pro?
Well, see, I thought I was ready in 2016 when I first retired. Ken Reed, my buddy from Sportsnet, he has this book. It's called One Night Only, and it's about players that played one regular season game. And it might be like a first rounder that was a bust, or it might be an eighth rounder like me that was able to play a game that it was unlikely that he'd do it. Or so it's a pretty cool. It's a very cool book. Don Cherry's another guy that just played one game. So there's a couple of people in there, including myself. And, I was part of the book. I got interviewed by him. At the end of the interview, this is when I was playing my last year in Quebec. He's like, hey, you come to Toronto when you're done playing, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, why don't you come into the studio at Sportsnet? I'll give you a tour so you can check it all out. He's like, Sean, I think you'd be a great NHL analyst, buddy. And this is back in 2016. Okay. So he's like, I can set you up with the interview process because I know that they'll approve it. So just call me when you get into town and we'll do it. So we ended up doing it, the tour. He set me up for the interview for September the 1st. Okay. I decided not to go back to Quebec. I was like, you know what? This is my calling. I got the gift of gab. I'm a former player. I can do all this broadcasting stuff. No problem. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought. And although I think I may have done okay, that was at the same time that Sportsnet made all the cutbacks. It was shortly after Sportsnet had bought Hockey Night in Canada off CBC, and they had guys like George Stropolopoulos as the host, and their TV ratings went really bad. And then they made a decision 2 weeks after my interview that they were going to do a major cutbacks, and they fired like 9 guys that were like high profile guys in the hockey department. And it was just really bad timing for me to be thinking I was going to get that job. And I hadn't trained at all in the summer. Like I told my team I wasn't coming back. And it's interesting that we're getting into this because it's been a topic of conversation lately a lot with the guys that have lost their lives. But when Ken Reid called me, a couple days after all the firings, and he's like, "Hey, Sean, I'm sure you've seen everything that's happened. Obviously they're not going to be hiring right now, but, I don't want you to give up on the dream. Try to stay in town. Something might pop up, whatever." That year, man, I spiraled into a really, really bad place because I wasn't playing hockey. I didn't get this job that I told everybody I was going to get. And I really started kind of using drugs a lot. I was drinking a bit, never became a big drinker, but the drugs got deep into it, and really spiraled into a bad place, man. And, when I was able to get this opportunity with the podcast, it kind of brought back the joy in things again that I was missing from hockey. You guys know, man, having some of these conversations with these players, like it brings back, and then certain topics that you get into, and like even if like you haven't really thought of it for a long time and it just came up in the show, sometimes it brings stuff like it's like therapy for the hosts. I think. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Like I get through some shows, man, where I feel so much better after, and like none of it was for me. It was all about the guests, man, but just things that we hit, right? And I think with the team camaraderie and the fact that, I was doing this sheriff character and did this and did that and did this, like I miss all that stuff, man. And I'm able to kind of address some of it, through the show. And so I think that's the beauty of it. I think it brings out the best of us, man, especially now that how you guys are saying how you're enjoying it so much more now. I think that brings out the best in us. And we don't even mean to show it.
You're 100% right. And sometimes by
you
having
know what, man, I'm sorry, I didn't even answer your question, man.
That's all right.
So listen, so in 2016, I would have answered if you had asked me the same question. I'd have been like, yeah, man, I could tonight. I'll do Sports Center tonight. I'll just walk into the studio. But no, I wasn't ready. There were so many things I had to learn. And to be honest with you, I've worked so hard the last year and a half to learn so many things. I've talked on a few panels. I've done a bunch of public appearances. My last 20 or so episodes have been in the studio, live recordings, with a whole other skill set. And I believe right now that I'm ready to be a rookie in the big leagues.
Okay.
I know I won't be the best, but I believe that I'm just at the point now where I've just been, I've experienced so much, especially doing this Bottom Line studio, that I'm ready to do it. I just need to learn from the best now and work with them. And that's why I've tried to have guys like I had Ken Reid on my show. I've had Michael Futa on my show. Not in studio, but Sam Constantino, Cabby I've had in the studio. I've been trying to get Anthony Stewart so badly, but the guy's so busy. Trying to get these guys so I'm side by side with them so that people can see, hey, these guys get along pretty well. Hey, they sound pretty good. This one guy said he's really looking for a job. Maybe 1 + 1 = 2, and maybe this guy needs to be given a shot. And like I'm trying to make it like that, right? So
yeah.
I'm putting it all out there, like how you guys do, and we risk it all for the good content and for good entertainment, and that's what I'm all about. I'm just like you guys, man.
That's awesome. And you know what? You're 100% right when it comes to having people on and the idea of it being therapeutic for both the listener and the hoster, and sometimes even knowing that you made someone's day, right? Some of these guys, they play minor hockey, and they play, junior C, junior B, and it means a lot to them, especially if maybe they're having a bad day or they're in a rough spot, right? You never know. A lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes, and it feels good that you just you can leave someone with a good feeling in their heart as they go out into the rest of their life.
Right on. No, I do. And gentlemen, just because I have it fresh in my mind, I know in Toronto, we're geographically close to Buffalo, right? There's a lot of broken hearts in the Toronto area because the Buffalo Bills lost that playoff game. Is it the same kind of, or are you guys kind of like Detroit Lions type of dudes, or
I'm a Lions guy.
I
so that's how it is though for the Windsor faithful? Like you guys are Detroit Lions.
they're mainly
Yeah,
Lions
it's like
students?
Lions. Well, when it comes to like hockey, it's kind of a mixture. It's like Wings and Leafs pretty much down in this area.
Some Habs
Yeah.
too.
Some Habs, but
Habs? Yeah.
it's like mainly like Wings and Leafs, right? Because everything's right here, and while the Leafs are just a shot up to like 401, so
Yeah.
Right.
it's not. I don't know. It's not too bad, but I just like the rivalries and you know what I mean. Two original
Yeah.
six teams, and I love that stuff. I love just I don't know. I just love chirping Leafs fans too, to be honest. With
Yeah.
you.
What'd you think of the Lucic fight last night?
Oh my, that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luch.
Center ice.
Slugfest.
What's been going on with him this year? Like, has he been healthy scratch or has he been injured? What's going on with Lucic, man? He hasn't been playing all the games.
I want to say he was injured at the start of the year,
Okay.
and then he got health bombed a couple times.
Yeah, right?
But he's been in the lineup as a mainstay pretty much most of the year but I think it was just a couple of times they had a rookie up from the AHL and he was the odd man out. So
really, because I know that I remember when they were playing Montreal, that Wi-Fi, he was, like or no, it wasn't even Wi-Fi. It was another player on Montreal that had a crazy like square up center ice fight, but then he celebrated after, and people were like, oh, he wouldn't celebrate if Lucic was in the lineup. And they're like, well, then put Lucic in the lineup then, right? And I think that's when he was being healthy scratched, right?
Yeah.
And but that's what happens. You hold your big guy out of the lineup, to try to send a message or whatever. And then the next game is when everything's wild and you just wish he was in there. They just keep him in there. But yeah, no, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've seen a few good tilts lately, like Foligno and Simmons last week. Right. And yeah, man, like it seems like things are heating up a little bit in the NHL. Like, this is around the time that, the rivalries kind of come to light, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Teams have played each other enough times for some stuff to be going on now, right?
It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, well, that Wi-Fi Arbor Jack guy, he's really brought fighting back into the game. Like, he's already got 5 or 6 this year. Like, he's been throwing.
Yeah. And the thing with him is, we were talking about Kitchener earlier. This guy played for the Kitchener Rangers, man. I've seen some videos of him. And the guy was like, I mean, obviously he was an incredible player in junior if he's a player in the NHL, right? But how tough he is, you can imagine how tough he was at the junior level. And I've seen some videos of him just manhandling guys but then scoring a hat trick in the same game. And man, he must have been an interesting guy to watch in junior, man. He must have been dominating. He's doing really well in the show.
What was crazy too is like a year and a half ago, he was working at fucking Costco. Now he's like playing in the NHL. Too. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, buddy. And you know what? Like, I know some stories get pumped up and stuff, but I think this one's like legit. Pretty like on point, like for what it is. I think it's like really true. Like, it's a very cool story.
Hey,
he's. Sorry, go ahead, Ant.
No, Tris, go ahead, because I was
just gonna say, like, he seems to be getting better the more his career goes on. Like, he never really put up crazy points in junior. He was a stay-at-home guy for them, and he played Hamilton. I think he went and got a championship, I think, with Hamilton, and then came to the NHL, and now he's getting power play time with Montreal, and it's like, it's good to see.
Now's the time
some
to
guys,
work them
man,
in.
their ceilings, they just keep moving, right? And like, man, he's Montreal's gonna have such a good team. It's too bad. I think Caulfield they just announced he's done for the year.
Yeah.
But Montreal, I mean, they look good. Their record's not, but they got the good core. I think they'll be all right. I'm not a Habs fan, but
no. Hey, so Bottom Line is where you record and stuff now, right? How did everything come about with them?
Yeah, so with Bottom Line, Mr. Kerry Goulet, who has Gooch Live, he has had a long-standing relationship with the owner at Bottom Line, and so he was the first show that was in there, and I was a guest on Gooch Live, and so I went in there, and I came a little bit early, so we chatted a little bit before, and then we did the show. It went really well. The owner was kind of watching and listening. I guess they were looking for another show to come in and kind of fill some time. And I was just the winner of that. It was right place at the right time. And they just said that they wanted to sponsor me, that they wanted me to do all my recordings from there. And that I was part of the Bottom Line family. They called it the Locker Room Studio at Bottom Line. And Kerry Goulet got a head coaching job at the top league in Australia. So he's taken off. So there's some changes going on at Bottom Line, but I'll still be recording there. And yeah, man, it's a great opportunity. It's such a nice little setup, guys. Like it's kind of like the Much Music effect. Like you can see the show from outside walking on Front Street, which is one of the main drags in Toronto. And of course it's in a sports bar, so you're just at the bar, and then if you walk to a certain part of the bar, boom, you see the studio. It's built right into the front part of the bar, so it's really, really cool. We try to make it like a family atmosphere because we have a big VIP table that's right beside the studio, so it's like a pretty cool like live audience. So we'll have that for like family and friends, and some of the guests like really get into it. They'll like bring a bunch of people, and it's like a pretty big party, man, when we're having a really fun show at a sports bar with family and friends. Like, you know what I mean? Like how much more cool things can you kind of put together, right? So great experience. I have like a little bit of a tradition that like my mom drives me just to make it easier so I can kind of look at my notes. Don't have to worry about the crazy Toronto traffic. I get to spend some time with my mom. I do group photos after. So I usually have like, my mom or my girlfriend in that photo. So it's kind of cool. Like it brings me closer to family, the show. Like I've always said that since the beginning. And yeah, dude, it's blessed to have people on your side and be able to work with well-minded people for sure.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So now that you're into the part of your life where you're done with professional hockey and now you're getting into the broadcasting portion of it, what do you do to stay in shape? Because I can see there's a bicep vein that looks like a snake in your arm there. What do you do to stay in shape these days?
Well, this is the secret, man. This is the secret, and I'll look the camera in the eye when I do it. Extra small t-shirts. Well, listen, so man, I have such an itch for the game that every single year I have teams that give me great deals like Laval and the LNH. They give me a great deal. It's a certain deal in the beginning, and then I agree to it. I start getting all pumped up and all like doing, jogging videos and like I'm Rocky. And to be honest with you, I was going to make a return this year to Laval. The situation was, they were going to fly me in and out, and then it kind of changed to they wanted me to stay there. And with me trying to get a job in Toronto, like I'm telling you guys, it just wouldn't make sense for me. It's not that important for me to be playing in the LNEH as a 40-year-old. Like it'd be cool, but it's not that important to be putting everything else aside. If they were going to fly me in and out for the whole season in the playoffs, that'd be different. But me having to stay there, it just didn't work out. But I was going to go. So I was skating 2-3 times a week, buddy. And I was going to the gym every single day. I'm still doing it, but I'm not like it might not be, it might be 2 or 3 times a week instead of 4 or 5 right now. You know what I mean? But I was going hard, man, because I was going to go and like, like they have a couple tough guys there already, but I was going to be a tough guy in Laval in the House of Pain, and I had to be prepared. So I hit the gym hard, man, and I'm still going. I'm more maintaining now, but I was on a pretty good training regimen, man. Regimen.
That's awesome. So like, do you still walk around at about the same weight, or are you a little bit leaner now? You look more cut.
I'm leaner.
Okay.
My playing weight was about 230, 225-ish. Right now I'm about 215.
Right on.
6'4",
You look great, brother.
215. I'm sorry, brother.
I said you look great, brother.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks. No, I really appreciate it, man. It's harder though, man, because I'm older now, right? And man, I get sore after those skates now, and after those workouts, like it's sometimes like the old men have to ice it down after. You guys are like young puppies. You're hearing me say this, and you're like, screw this guy. We have another 20 years till we have to worry about what he's saying. Screw him. But don't worry, guys. You guys are in your prime, so you guys enjoy that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Thank you. Yeah, we will.
Hey, talk to us about Seaside, because I see you've been doing a lot of work there right now and everything. I love the work that you do there, by the way, with all that. So can you kind of explain to us on what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Seaside is a program that just started last year. So this is the second year. Now, I wanted to jump into it last year, but it just, I called Kirk, the founder, Kirk Brooks, a few times. I'm like, yeah, man, I want to come out. And then I didn't go, and I said I was going to go. And then it just felt weird, like to start going towards the end of something.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start fresh, which I did this year. So from the beginning, I've been going. So now this is a program where they've gotten a grant from the government where if a kid wants to play hockey, that he can play. And he's provided equipment, and there's no cost for registration. And the way that we set it up is so there's the part of the year where everybody's getting fitted for the equipment. All the second year kids are getting bigger equipment, and they get to bring back their stuff from last year. Then, of course, the majority of the first year people are people that have never played before. So then, like, there's this whole learn to skate program in the beginning where they now have all their equipment. They're not ready for hockey sticks yet, but they're going to go on the ice. Most of them are going to have, like, we would use chairs back in the day. Now they have like all these like crazy little things that are like triangles that you push on, and then they get rid of those, and then they're able to skate on their own, and then they're able to get the stick, and then they're able to start using pucks. And it's a process, right? So then we split them up and split them into teams. And then so every Saturday we have practices. And so they'll be like the U6 and 7s will be like one age group, and the U8s and 9s, and then the U10s and 11s. And I think it goes up until 12. But there's a bunch of different age groups. They've all been given jerseys, and we have an all-star team from every age group. But some of these kids, man, it's just with their culture and their background, they just never got involved with hockey, but they're like superstar athletes. And now that you should see these kids, like these kids have better skates than I do, man. Like, you know what I mean? They're kids skates, right? But they look nicer than mine. They're brand new skates, and they have every opportunity at we may have all struggled when we were younger, but these kids, they wouldn't have been able to play if it wasn't for this program. So it's really cool to see a kid that never played hockey 2 months ago to a kid that's wheeling around the ice, and we have to tell him to slow down because we're trying to explain the next drill in practice, right? Like it's pretty cool stuff, man. So I've gotten my level 1 coaching, so I'm able to go behind the bench now. And what I was saying about those all-star teams is that we made an all-star team from each age group that's now playing exhibition games against like single and double A teams in Toronto. So they're getting smoked, but they're at least playing like a game, an official game. It's a double A team, and it might be like a 6-2 game or something, but they're getting better and better. We're trying to find teams that maybe not as good, so it'll be more of a competitive game. But these are all kids that didn't play like 2 months ago. Now they're playing against double A kids their own age, right? It's pretty cool. And yeah, they've been entered into tournaments. and every Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday is the practices, and Sundays is more like scrimmages. And the videos that I take are a small justification of what actually goes on, and it's just really cool to see the progress. And then, of course, the most important thing is the kids having fun. So
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
yeah, man,
Yeah,
it's
that's
pretty
really
cool stuff.
great to see you, like how much you can appreciate like giving back to the community, especially coming from a pro player. And I commend you on that. You never let being pro get to your head. Like you still give back to community in numerous ways, clearly. And that's really good to see that you're grounded in your heart and what you believe in. So that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. No, I appreciate you saying that. And like, just to add to it, the super, super cool thing, dude, is that the arenas that Seaside uses, those are the arenas that I started with. Like, Malvern Arena is where me and my brothers started house leagues, right? So that's the arena on the Sunday. Commanders on the Saturday. That's where I practice with Don Mills Flyers, my AAA team. So yeah, man, like the grassroots for me is like real. So it's really cool to do what I'm doing from the standpoint of, yeah, I got to play X amount of years pro and now I'm going to my grassroots, but just as like a normal person, man, just being around and knowing that that's where I started, like it gives me a great feeling. So I'm glad that you guys asked me about that. So thank you.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
we're kind of essentially doing like kind of trying to do the same thing around here type deal. Like we sponsor 2 minor hockey teams. The junior team in our town we sponsor as well. We do a sweater sponsor there.
Wow.
And I have a buddy, Lee, who works for the Columbus Jackets there. So every time he's home, we skate with teams
Really?
when he's home too. So we're essentially trying to do the same thing to give back to like minor hockey and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's great, guys, because I mean it's important and it's going to help. And the fact that our sport is so difficult when it comes to the pocket, like financially, any bit of help is good. And it could be the difference with a kid actually being able to play for a team and be noticed and have a path to get to the next level. So a lot of people don't think it's a big deal. Oh, they got enough sponsorship, they don't need it. Anyone that's able to sponsor, please sponsor a hockey team, just like Hattrick Hockey does, because the kids need all the help they can, man. This is
And
a
trust me,
hard sport financially to thrive in.
and every little bit helps too.
Yes, it does.
It sure does. Guys.
I got a question, Sean. So obviously, your name, Sean McMorrow, good Irish name, and you played for Belfast.
Yeah.
How did you go about getting that dual citizenship I saw earlier today on Elite Prospects? Talk about that a bit.
Okay, so it may not look like it, but I am half Irish.
Yeah.
Now, my mother is Irish.
Okay.
My father is from Trinidad and Tobago, right? Now his last name is Scipio. I was born Sean Scipio. So now this is cool because I don't think I've talked about this little story. So this is like a little exclusive. So I was born Sean Scipio, and my mom's family's name is McMorrow. So when my parents got divorced when I was 6 years old, we were all in Vancouver because that's where my parents moved to start their lives. My mom moved us back to Toronto, and she felt that it would be in our best interest and we would be most comfortable with all the McMorrows in Toronto, all my cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone's McMorrow, that if we got our names legally changed to McMorrow, that it would just be more comfortable for me, my brothers and sisters. Me, my sister, and my brothers. Only one sister. So, and she was right. And we're very proud to have McMorrow. Like Scipio is still part of my name, but McMorrow is my last name on my license, on the back of my hockey jersey. And so I have my mom's family's side as my last name. The funny thing is that when me and my siblings were being born, physically we look a little bit more after our father. So my sister's the oldest, and my mom started seeing this trend, and she said, it looks like our kids are taking a little bit more after you on the physicality. So, it'd be really important to me if they had really strong Irish names, right? So there's Catherine with a Y, right? There's Sean, Sean,
Yeah.
Then there's Patrick. Okay. Then there's Liam. So Catherine, Sean, Patrick, and Liam.
That's awesome.
Right? You can't get any more Irish than that,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
So my mom succeeded in having the strong Irish names. And yeah, man. And then when she had the names legally changed, it was super Irish with the McMorrow added to it, right? So because my grandfather was born in that part of the world and I was able to prove it, I was eligible for a UK ancestry visa. Okay. Now you're probably wondering, well, you were in Belfast though, so how or whatever.
Right.
So now, back in the day, it wasn't uncommon for Irish men to go for like weeks at a time or months at a time to England to go work, make some money for the family, come back to Ireland. So I guess my great grandfather, he did that where he had like a month or two no job, and it was in Newcastle upon Tyne. Newcastle is a town in England.
Yeah.
And so my grandfather was actually born because he brought his whole family when he worked in Newcastle. So my grandfather was actually born in Newcastle, but then they moved back to Ireland like whatever weeks later. But technically he was born in England, UK. So after getting up his birth certificate, going through Service Canada, all the channels that you have to do to get your ancestry visa, I was able to do that. Belfast was very happy that I was able to do it because I think it made things a little bit cheaper for them. Yeah, I had a 5-year UK ancestry visa that I got to try to get renewed, man, because I could have just stayed there and worked at McDonald's if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like,
that's awesome.
I loved living over there, man. It was so awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I never knew that about you.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So So McMorrow, Scipio is still a part of my name. But McMorrow, that's legally my last name. My mom's family. And yeah, it's Irish. It's Irish and English, I guess you could say, right?
That's a really cool story. Yeah, I'm fellow Irishman. So
I don't think I have, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to learn that. Fellow Irishman. My dad's
Whereabouts? Do you know?
Want to say my grandma's side was from Killarney.
Okay.
And I don't know my grandpa's. I know that. Well, my name's Tristan McGuire, and then my dad's Patrick McGuire. So my great grandpa was Emmett McGuire. So all Irish lineage there. Man. But it's cool to learn that about your last name. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. For sure. It's a nightmare when I'm renewing passports and stuff and like all these like little weird things because there's the change of name form that I got to try to, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, it's cool. I mean, it's still me. It's just my mom's name instead of my dad's name, right? So, but I'm very proud to be Sean McMorrow and I'll live to be strong till the end.
It's awesome.
My next question is, where can I get one of those shirts?
Hey, man. I mean, I'll send you the link. I'm gonna try. You guys have hooked me up, so I'm gonna do my best to hook you guys up. And by the way, man, I got now that this topic is up here, I have never, and I should have been wearing it today, man, because it's so cool. Like I'm looking at it right now on your wall there. I've never gotten such cool swag that I've gotten from you guys, man. You guys gave me hats. I have a long sleeve shirt. That logo and that type of blue, to me, like it's the same kind of blue as Seaside. To me, that's such a cool color, man. It's a strong sign you guys have there, man. And I have our old logo. Some of the apparel. What's that?
That's our old logo.
No, but you guys have the same colors, though, don't you?
The new logo I think is black, white, and red now. Yeah. The one in the background here. Above my head there. But the one on the wall here, that's our old one. But we still kind of use both.
But that's the swag that I have, though.
Right.
Because we did our show, it was over a year ago. Right?
Well over a year ago.
Well over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so these t-shirts, like I said, man, I'm like for the listeners, if you go on the Sheriff website, which is a link, it's a view card. Which is on my Instagram bio. There's a link to the merchandise There's an app. You just hit merchandise, and it has all the options there. But for you, kind gentlemen, we're going to talk after the show, and we're going to figure something out because it's. I got my sign in the back. I don't know if you're just seeing my butt or if you see what the.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got the Sheriff podcasting.
Okay,
on there?
yeah, we can see
And
it.
then
Everybody
this-
just got a nice view
And then,
of
so
your
what
ass,
this
too.
is, I'll explain this. So, hard man is what they call the tough guys in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is not a hard man, not a tough guy, not an enforcer, but the sheriff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right? My
And
brother
for-
Liam came up with the idea, and then he also helped with the emblem in the back. So I'm
And
very thankful to Liam McMorrow, who's 8.5 inches taller than me and about 80 pounds heavier.
and for our lady listeners
Yeah, dude.
there and viewers, you just got a nice view of Sean's ass there for you too. So that's just for you guys.
Yeah.
Don't say we don't do anything for you.
There you go, man. There you go.
How fast did you grow? Because you're a big man yourself.
I was always the biggest kid on my team. I in Pee Wee, which is grade 8, I think I was 6 foot. And then I got like I'm 6'4". So yeah, I just kind of I guess did an inch every year after that, right?
It's crazy.
Type of thing. But Liam did 8 inches in grade 12
That's nuts.
and went from a hockey player to a basketball player after high school. Yeah, so
Crazy.
we could have a whole other episode on my brother. My brother would be he's a superstar. Both of them, all my siblings, man, they're all superstars, man.
Which one of them was
All day.
or which one not was or maybe still is the bodyguard for the weekend, right?
Yeah,
One of them is?
so Patty is head of security for XO, which is the company for the weekend. So but he's like the weekend's personal bodyguard.
Yeah.
So they're on world tour right now, but they came to Toronto not too long ago. And then so obviously, he did his brotherly duties and hooked me up with some tickets. It was back-to-back concerts. So I went the first night, got 4 passes. So I was like the ultimate hookup for that day because I was able to get the weekend tickets, right? So yeah, Patty's been with them for a long time. They started in Toronto and then they all moved down to LA like once they kind of made it. So they all live in LA now. My brother moved his whole family down there, and they all live in like, the Hollywood Hills or wherever they are, man. But
Struggling,
he's
struggling.
doing so well, right? So they just keep doing cool things
Oh,
and
good for him.
making
man.
more and more money.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome.
And the other brother is a 7-foot professional basketball player, and I could talk for hours for him, Liam McMorrow. They're both really cool, talented individuals.
I love it.
And my sister is the coolest out of all of us. Big producer for CBC, 5'11", super athlete as a kid. All of them are very cool people.
Damn. You guys all
Yeah.
did your thing.
Oh yeah.
Love it. Tris, do you have any
Yeah,
questions,
yeah,
Sean?
100%. I
Fire
wanted
away.
to ask you, and I'm sure you get this a lot. That's why I was saving it for later. But hey, like, who was the toughest guy you ever had to face, or maybe you never faced him? But who do you feel was the toughest guy at the time that you were in the league?
Yeah. When I was playing in the AHL, I played 4 years for Rochester, right? So now Rochester's main rival is the Syracuse Crunch.
Okay.
Okay, so now the Syracuse always, like that's the team that John Nasty Morasti ended up playing for, and they always have a super tough guy in there. Jody Shelley was there, and then when I was in Rochester, there was a guy named Trevor Ettinger, and then after Trevor Ettinger, there was Brandon Sugden, right, for 2, 3, and 4, right,
Yeah.
season. So now Brandon Sugden was the best technical fighter I've ever fought. You could not make a mistake. Sugden was 6'4", 225, long reach, super heavy bomb, was so technical. He was such a hard guy to fight, man. And if you were tired or anything, you better pop some coffees or do something, buddy. Run around the upper echelon of the rink because you cannot make a mistake against Sugar. And he was my toughest opponent in the AHL. The hardest I ever got hit was Mr. Rocky Thompson. When Mr. Mr. Rocky Thompson. I don't know what year it was, but it was the Edmonton Oilers farm team was the Toronto Roadrunners, and they were playing at the Ricoh Coliseum. It was before the Marlies were there. Like I don't know what year it was, but that's what was happening. And we played those Toronto Roadrunners. I fought Rocky Thompson, and man, oh man, it's on YouTube. We had round 1 and round 2. Round 1, I beat him. Round 2, he shaved his head, and he was ready for me, man. And he got me so good, man. He got me so good. I don't think I ever remember getting hit harder than Rocky Thompson hitting me. But when I went to the Quebec LNAH, at Steve Bosse, the guy that kept putting Morasti down, I don't know if you guys have seen those videos. They had a rivalry one year where they fought like 7 or 8 times, and Bosse just kept putting Johnny down. Johnny won one of them, which was great, but Bosse kept putting him down. Now, Steve Bosse is a guy that played in that LNAH for his whole career, but then he became a UFC fighter, and he actually did very well. Like I think like if you Google Steve Bosse,
yeah,
I think his record ended up being like 7-3 or 8-4 or something. Like the guy did really good, and I'm not sure if he's still fighting or not. But I was his last hockey fight before he went to the UFC, and he had this one fight with this guy that they call one of the best fights in that weight class. I forget the guy's name that he fought, but it's on a bunch of videos of the best of this year or whatever. Yeah, Steve Bosse, man. He had the hardest punch in that Quebec league. He actually put me down once, and I hit my head on the ice, and it was bad news for me. But yeah, Steve, like the names that I mentioned, they definitely are at the top of the list.
Yeah, man, that Bosse, he ended up in just pro MMA in general.
Yeah, what was it?
12-2.
12-2. See,
Guy's a
heavyweight
straight
as
up
well,
killer.
5'11" and 225.
Heavyweight. Okay, so
God.
check this out with this Bosse guy. So he's a legend in Quebec. Okay, Steve Bosse. He's from Saint Jean sur Richelieu, and his dad was like a lumberjack, like in the woods, like in a big, like Saint Jean is like a big wooded area in Quebec, and so Bosse grew up like just chopping wood and just like really blue collar, like you know what I mean, like out in the rain and the snow all day cutting wood, and then I guess when he came to his first training camp, in that it was before the LNH, it was just the Quebec Senior League. He came to like Verdun's training camp or something. And I guess like he didn't even know like which way he shot, like shoot left or shoot right. He just came to fight. Like,
Jesus.
I come to fight. Like, can you imagine? And he's like, the guy's like a killer, man. He's like he fights. He's like, just like
a jackhammer.
It's insane.
Yeah, hammer.
Oh my
Holy
God. Sounds like a complete psychopath when he plays.
Yeah, man. And then the other thing is like, the teams that he played for, like the Chiefs and all those guys, they have owners that are like insane, right? So the owners will be like they'll be living their lives through like the tough guys of the team, and they'll just like have a grudge on a player. They'll put a bounty on his head, and then they'll put like an envelope with like $2,000 in like a stall, and be like, McMorrow's head is yours. You get McMorrow tonight. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it works like that over there, man. And back in the day, it was crazy. Like now, it's really toned down. But
wow,
God.
those are such
yeah,
cool
Bosse,
stories,
man. A lumberjack. Imagine being a lumberjack, just chopping wood your whole life, and then you're just like, you know what? I want to fight for my town. I don't want to cut wood anymore.
That's crazy though, man. The guy's just doing wood all the time. Me, I'm like, oh, it's liver, you know what I mean? And he's out there fucking chopping wood all fucking day. Jesus, that's insane, dude.
Yeah, man.
Insane. Tris, come on. I know you have more for him. I know you've been. Do you have any more for him?
Well, I'm pretty tapped, Ant. How about you?
Beautiful. Dude, Sean, as always, it's always awesome having you here, man. Seriously, I love following you. Love just, your show, how much you've done for just hockey in general, man. Obviously you're welcome here anytime. And like I said, love you, bro. And can't wait to talk again.
I appreciate it, man. I really enjoyed this conversation. I know we probably went way over because I'm a yap talker, right? But thanks for having me on, guys. Hey, we talked about it during the show. This was therapy for me, man. This is therapy. This dual thing that you guys have here, it's cool. I haven't done a show like this in a little while, so this little camaraderie that we had here, man, I really appreciate it. And I'd love to come back on at any time. But I'm going to be in contact with you guys because there's a bunch of things that I got on the go. I'm just so unorganized. It's so hard to get it together. But I'd love for you guys to be a part of a couple projects that I have going on. I'll contact you guys after the show. And I love what you guys are doing, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Sean. And I want to say thank you from not only like just myself, but from everyone who's listening for the gift you provided us with, just with your knowledge and telling us about a bit of your story and mainly outside of hockey, but also how you've integrated yourself with that. And just thank you for shedding light on that and being true to who you are still, not letting a pro mindset get to yourself. You've really kept yourself down to earth, and I love that about you.
Thanks, buddy. My confidence is sky high now, guys. So I think I'm going to go out and buy a lottery ticket.
Real quick, can you tell everybody how they can listen to your show?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, buddy. So my show is called The Sheriff Podcast. We are on every platform. We do have a YouTube channel, The Sheriff Podcast. We are on Instagram as The Sheriff Podcast, as well as Twitter and Facebook. So you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Anchor, anywhere that you could find your podcasts, and of course our YouTube channel, The Sheriff Podcast. Thank you so much, guys.
So everybody, make sure you add him up, hit him up, listen to his show. It's 100%. Fantastic. Sean, once again, thanks, brother.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, sir.
I lost my fight with time. My numbers up and up the line. I gaze at the darkness, so empty. Just looking for the light. Shout for help, but no one's there. Need a guiding hand, someone who cares. All alone in the darkness, I've realized for the first time I am scared. If I could do it all again, if I had one more chance, my friend, I would rewrite all my wrongs. I would find where I belong. I got lost along the way. I had so much more to say. If I could do